Hello and welcome to Joe Marquis Wagers. I am Joe Marquis. Today is Friday, January 19th, 2024. Alright, last week was the wild card round and I did okay. I won 56% of my wagers. Many of the ones I missed were very close to hitting. This tells me I had the games analyzed correctly, just had a little bad luck on some of the numbers. So now we are down to the Elite 8 here in the Divisional Round, and I'm going to change things up a little. Instead of doing one video for the whole weekend or one video for each day, I'm going to do one video for each game. That way people can just search for whatever game they want and then get my breakdown on those games. Let me know in the comments if you like this approach or not. In this video, we are going to focus on the first game of the weekend, which features the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are favored by 9, and the game total is set at 44.5. The game is scheduled to kick off at 4:30 Eastern Time on Saturday on ESPN. Temperatures are expected in the low 20s with a fair amount of wind expected. Now this is a very interesting game to me. Over the course of the season, I felt like the Ravens were the best overall team in the league. However, Lamar Jackson and some of the key starters have not actually played a game in 2024. They were rested in Week 18 and they had a bye in the wild card round. The last time all of the starters played was New Year's Eve against the Dolphins. It's always becomes the argument at this time of the year as teams have to weigh rest versus rust. In the case of the Ravens, I don't think they had a choice but to rest Lamar. If he had gotten injured in a meaningless Week 18 game, their season would have been as good as over. Now, this Texan team reminds me a lot of the Bengals team a couple of years ago, where a young Joe Burrow just had his whole team believing, and they just kept finding ways to win games late in the year. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl that year. And I think C.J. Stroud is already a top 10 QB in this league, maybe top 5. He's just that good. My concern with trying to play the Texans to win this game outright has been the difference in play of the Texans on the road. At home, they went 7-3 with a plus 5.9 point differential in those games. But on the road, they went 4-4 with a negative 1.75 point differential. This team scores almost a full touchdown less on the road than they do at home. So I think the Ravens will win this game. I'm just not sure if they're going to cover the 9 points. My thoughts on this one are that the Ravens are going to come out a little bit rusty. So I played the Texans to cover the first half spread of 5.5, and I did this one a couple of days ago. Then later I was wondering if I should have played the first quarter instead. I mean, how long do we think the rust is going to last for the Ravens? A drive, a quarter, a half? So I just went ahead and I played the Texans to cover the first quarter as well at plus 3.5. Now I do think the rust does eventually come off for the Ravens. So then I played the Ravens to cover the second half spread of 3.5. Now right now, none of the sportsbook have receiving props for either Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely. And it's because we don't yet know if Andrews is going to play. He's officially off the IR, but right now there's still a question mark if he's going to play. If he plays, then the props are all going to be set for Andrews, and then Likely's will be a lot lower. If Andrews doesn't play, then Likely's props will probably be very close to what they've been over the last 4 or 5 weeks. The Texans give up the second most yards per game to tight ends in the entire league. So I'm going to play one or the other. So if Andrews plays, I'm going to play his props. If Likely is the one who's going to play and Andrews is not, then I'm going to play the Likely props. The only problem is that we may not know until 90 minutes before kickoff. So this is what I'm going to monitor right before kickoff. And depending on who's playing, I'm going to play a tight end reception prop. Either yards or receptions, maybe both. It'll depend on what the numbers look like when they finally come out. The Ravens are going to want to run the ball in this game. It's going to be cold, and they like to establish the run. It opens up play action pass for them. I think both Lamar and Gus Edwards will get their fair share of rushing opportunities. But I also think Justice Hill gets plenty of snaps as well. He plays a lot on third down and catches his fair share of balls out of the backfield. I'm going to play Hill to exceed his modest combined rushing and receiving prop of just 37.5. He's got some burst to him. He could get this number on one rush or one reception out of the backfield. Now, I don't think the Texans are going to be able to run the ball against this elite Ravens defense. I think they're going to have to try and throw the ball to stay competitive in this game. So I'm going to play Stroud to exceed his pass attempts prop of 35.5. I think a lot of those throws are going to end up going to Dalton Schultz. The Ravens have an excellent pass rush, and Stroud is going to be forced to get rid of the ball quickly and on shorter passes. Dalton is excellent at getting open in the middle of the field against zone and man defenses. So I'm going to play Schultz to exceed his receiving yards prop of 34.5. If you wanted to play these 6 wagers in a same game parlay, it would come in at plus 2,900 on DraftKings. I actually had a profit boost for a same game parlay on DraftKings, so I boosted this up to plus 3,770. So fingers crossed there. My son's best wager for this game is Singletary under 16.5 rush attempts. So it sounds like JoJo also thinks that the Texans aren't going to have much success running the ball against this Ravens defense. So I like that one, Joe. Good luck on that one. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, Joe Marquis Wagers. I will post again shortly with my best wagers on the Packers-Niners game. Good luck on all of your wagers in this game.